For quite some time now, the vast intelligence of the quantum universe has been attempting to communicate with you. It doesn't use spoken language, nor does it rely on hidden signs or cryptic symbols for you to magically decipher. Instead, it speaks to you through the most immediate and profound medium possible, the very fabric of your lived reality. It communicates through the caliber of experiences that enter your orbit, through the specific individuals who inexplicably gravitate toward you, and through those who inevitably fade away. You hear its voice in those breathtaking moments when the universe parts before you with absolute ease, as well as in those frustrating times when every path forward feels completely sealed shut. The quantum realm uses the tapestry of your daily life as its mouthpiece, and the persistent underlying message it has been broadcasting, regardless of your shifting circumstances or the internal narratives you've constructed to explain your life, is simply this: you are infinitely more magnificent than the limited persona you believe yourself to be. You are a profoundly radiant being. In our session today, at this exact moment, we are going to allow the universal field to reflect back to you the absolute truth it has always recognized within you. We are going to bypass the facade, the version of yourself that was molded by the expectations of society, built from the remnants of past traumas, and pieced together merely as a psychological survival mechanism. Instead, we will examine the authentic, unfiltered you. We are looking directly at your true electromagnetic blueprint, the verifiable, radiating, quantum mechanical reality of your existence. Herein lies a profound secret that the majority of humanity completely misses. The energetic fabric of the cosmos pays absolutely no attention to the stories you tell yourself. It is entirely indifferent to the opinions of others, the dogmas you hold, or the heavy baggage of your history. The quantum field only interacts with one thing: your authentic broadcast. It responds exclusively to your energetic signature, that continuous vibrational frequency your aura pulses out into the cosmos second by second. That invisible frequency is telling a narrative entirely distinct from the anxious thoughts spinning in your mind. Your auric field holds the absolute truth of your identity, and it has been projecting that majestic truth out into the world, regardless of whether you were consciously paying attention to it. Therefore, it is time we truly pay attention. Let us dive deep into the unseen architecture of your being. We will explore the actual mechanics of your personal energetic sphere, how it is formed, the exact emotional data it currently holds, the precise broadcast it is sending out at this very second, and what the surrounding quantum reality is desperately trying to mirror back to you about your own infinite nature. There has always existed a pristine version of you that the universe clearly sees. This is a version that never shrank back in fear, a version that never fractured, and remains beautifully whole. Crucially, this immaculate self isn't a distant goal waiting for you in the distant future. It is actively pulsating from the core of your being right at this very moment, buried just beneath the layers of conditioning you've accumulated over the years. This is your ultimate truth, and the cosmic field is practically begging you to finally acknowledge it. To ground this concept, let us reflect on an occurrence you likely experienced quite recently. Perhaps it manifested as a sudden, unexplainable wave of mental clarity. Maybe you awoke one morning feeling incredibly light, deeply expansive, and free of the usual burdens, without any logical reason. Alternatively, it could have been an unstructured conversation that naturally drifted into profound depths, leaving you feeling truly understood and acknowledged for the first time in ages. Or perhaps it was merely a fleeting second of solitude where your internal chaos abruptly paused, and within that profound silence, you felt a radiant warmth, an undeniable sensation of genuine presence that felt more authentic than anything you have experienced in years. You certainly felt it, but shortly after, you almost certainly rationalized it. You convinced yourself it was merely a fleeting good mood, a random alignment of brain chemistry, or a lucky coincidence. You seamlessly slipped back into the mundane vibrational habits of your everyday routine, and that glorious feeling quietly dissipated. However, it is crucial that you grasp the true nature of that experience. That spark was absolutely not a random accident. It was not a glitch in your day. That specific occurrence was the precise moment your auric field momentarily achieved absolute coherence. It was a brief window where your biological and electromagnetic boundaries perfectly aligned with their truest, most natural harmonic state. During that pristine alignment, you were granted a direct glimpse of the spectacular truth the quantum field has always held about you. You essentially met the authentic you, and acknowledging that brief, shining glimpse is the spark that ignites this entire transformative journey. Now, let us strip away the mysticism and look at the hard empirical science behind what you just experienced. I want to be entirely clear, we are not speaking in metaphors here. This isn't dressed-up spiritual rhetoric designed merely to make you feel comforted. That moment of unexpected brilliance you felt actually has a strictly defined, scientifically sound electromagnetic mechanism driving it. Fully grasping this science is the foundational step required to transform that fleeting sensation into your permanent, everyday reality, rather than just a rare and lucky visitation. Consider your physical body as a highly sophisticated electromagnetic power plant. Every single cellular structure within you is constantly generating electrical voltage. Your entire nervous system relies on the rapid transmission of bioelectric currents. Your brain is continuously firing off electromagnetic frequencies that modern medicine can easily record. Yet, the most dominant, potent generator of electromagnetic energy in your entire anatomical structure, the organ that outputs a measurable field vastly superior to any other system in your body, is your heart. For decades, researchers at institutions like the Heart Math Institute have rigorously studied and measured the human heart's energetic output. Their discoveries are nothing short of revolutionary. They have proven that your heart literally generates an immense electromagnetic field that takes the shape of a torus, a dynamic, spinning, donut-like sphere of energy that projects outward, extending several feet away from your physical form in a stunning 360-degree radius. We are not talking about mere inches. This field radiates for several feet. The energetic wave produced by your heart beats with an amplitude roughly 60 times more powerful than the electrical signals generated by your brain. In fact, this vibrant field can be explicitly picked up, tracked, and measured by highly sensitive laboratory equipment positioned well outside of your physical body. This vast, radiating sphere of energy is exactly what we call your aura. It is not an abstract New Age fantasy. It is not a poetic symbol. It is a completely verifiable, physically measurable, and scientifically documented electromagnetic reality. Your aura is exactly this dynamic, spinning toroidal sphere of energy. It is birthed primarily from the rhythmic beating of your physical heart, continually fine-tuned by the impulses of your central nervous system and ceaselessly projected out into the three-dimensional space that surrounds your body. Make no mistake, this phenomenon is entirely real. It is vibrating and pulsating at this very second, and crucially, it is transmitting vast amounts of complex data. This is precisely where the science takes a breathtaking turn. Rigorous studies spearheaded by the Heart Math Institute reveal that this invisible energetic barrier doesn't merely sit passively around you. It actively engages in a dialogue with the environment. Whenever two individuals step within close physical proximity of one another, their respective heart fields intersect and begin to converse. Incredibly, the rhythmic beating of one person's heart possesses the biological capacity to literally alter and guide the brainwave patterns of the other person. All of the rich, electromagnetic data embedded within your heart's broadcast can be effortlessly deciphered by the nervous systems of anyone nearby. This profound exchange frequently happens long before a single greeting is spoken, and almost always completely outside of either individual's conscious awareness. Have you ever stepped into a crowded room and inexplicably brought a wave of calm over someone who didn't even realize you were there? That is the tangible impact of your energetic footprint. When a stranger crosses your path and instantly feels a deep, unexplainable sense of trust toward you, or, conversely, senses a distinct red flag before you have even opened your mouth, that is direct, field-to-field dialogue occurring in real time. If you have ever spent time with an acquaintance and walked away feeling completely depleted and hollowed out, or inversely, left an interaction feeling vibrantly alive and inspired, you were simply witnessing your nervous system, translating their unique electromagnetic broadcast. Your auric field has been engaged in an unceasing, silent conversation with the world around you for the entirety of your life. Yet, here is the pivotal revelation that holds the power to transform everything you thought you knew. The exact message your energetic sphere transmits is entirely dictated by a state known as coherence. This coherence, which dictates the structural integrity, purity, and sheer volume of your output, is not a rigid, unchangeable trait. It ebbs and flows. It is acutely sensitive to your internal emotional landscape. And most importantly, it is a skill that you can consciously train. Whenever your heart rests in a state of deep coherence, meaning its rhythm is harmonious, smooth, and deeply ordered, your electromagnetic aura expands, becoming incredibly robust and brilliantly clear. In this elevated phase, your aura hums at what we might label a high-tier frequency. It transmits potent, undeniable signals of completeness, radical openness, and authentic sovereignty. In turn, the universal quantum web answers this majestic call by orchestrating external circumstances and experiences that perfectly resonate with that exact harmony. On the flip side, when your heart falls into a state of profound incoherence, when its beats become erratic, chaotic, and heavily fueled by chronic anxiety, stress, or deeply ingrained defense mechanisms, your energetic field fractures. It becomes diluted, fragile, and wildly scattered. During these contracted states, your broadcast is essentially emitting sheer static. Because the quantum fabric strictly answers to whatever signal it receives, it diligently arranges life experiences that mirror that chaotic noise. It is crucial to understand that this is never a cosmic punishment. It is simply the impartial law of physics at work. The quantum universe is not sitting in judgment of your character. It is merely reading your frequency. At this precise moment, as you absorb these concepts, your own energetic signature is beaming something out into the void. The vital question remains: does your current transmission accurately reflect the magnificent being you truly are? Because there is a profound truth I need you to internalize to feel vibrating within your bones, rather than just intellectualizing it in your mind. The chaotic dissonance within your field is absolutely not your true identity. That fragmented, fearful, static-generating version of your electromagnetic resonance is not your authentic voice. It is merely interference. It is nothing more than the heavy accumulation of past traumas, societal conditioning, outdated narratives, inherited generational cycles, and the protective armor you constructed over decades while trying to survive in a world that rarely understood how to handle your brilliance. Your genuine signal, the pure, native electromagnetic wavelength that forms your core essence, the one that was shining brightly before all that fearful static was piled on top of it, the one that occasionally breaks through in those fleeting seconds of absolute clarity, is utterly breathtaking. That core transmission is deeply coherent, undeniably potent, and astonishingly real. That is the actual you, and the cosmic intelligence has never lost sight of it. To truly grasp why your daily reality looks the way it does right now, we must briefly peer into the mechanical underpinnings of how the quantum arena interprets your vibration. This is the missing puzzle piece that eludes so many, and it perfectly explains the architecture of your current life. According to the tenets of quantum field theory, the foundational bedrock of our physical reality at the subatomic level is not composed of dense, solid matter. Instead, it is constructed entirely of probabilities. Every single particle exists merely as a fluid wave of potential, a superposition holding all conceivable outcomes until the exact moment it is observed or collides with an intersecting field. The precise catalyst that forces this infinite wave of potential to collapse into a rigid physical reality is interaction. It is resonance. It is the perfect synchronization of matching frequencies. Now, apply this profound scientific principle to your own localized energy sphere. Your aura is a highly sophisticated, multidimensional transmitter, continuously feeding data into the quantum sea. This universal field is not a barren vacuum. It is an incredibly dense, information-rich medium, where all energy and matter commune. It reads the data you send out and reacts by collapsing infinite waves of probability into tangible events that perfectly harmonize with your specific transmission. To put it in the most straightforward terms, reality literally builds itself around whatever you radiate. The romantic partners, the sudden opportunities, the financial circumstances, and the random encounters that cross your path are never mere accidents. They are not simply the byproduct of your physical hustle, your spoken vocabulary, or your clever life strategies. At their most foundational level, these occurrences are the direct manifestation of what your personal electromagnetic system is broadcasting into the connective quantum medium. It is an immutable law of nature. Similar frequencies will invariably seek each other out. Highly coherent fields will effortlessly attract highly coherent realities, while splintered, chaotic fields will endlessly magnetize splintered, chaotic experiences. This foundational law of resonance perfectly explains why two individuals can execute the exact same steps, follow an identical blueprint, and yet manifest wildly contrasting outcomes. It clarifies why one person who seemingly does everything correctly on paper continuously crashes into invisible, frustrating barriers, while another individual glides through their existence with an aura of effortless flow. The distinguishing factor in these scenarios is absolutely not blind luck. It certainly isn't a superior life strategy. The ultimate differentiator is strictly the caliber of the frequency each individual is emitting from their personal energetic center. I want you to sit with this next concept and truly let it sink in. Attempting to overhaul your reality strictly from the outside in is a profoundly exhausting endeavor, and almost always temporary. Whenever you try to modify your external behaviors without fundamentally upgrading your internal energetic broadcast, the quantum fabric simply continues to read your old, dominant frequency. Sure, your immediate circumstances might fluctuate for a brief window, but inevitably, that persistent, underlying vibrational pull will drag your reality right back into a configuration that perfectly mirrors your unchanged auric field. You can endlessly rearrange the furniture in the room of your life, but if the foundational signal radiating from your heart remains stagnant, the universe will dutifully keep building that exact same room around you. True, enduring transformation, the kind of change that permanently alters the caliber of experiences drawn into your orbit, only happens at the foundational level of your electromagnetic output. It occurs entirely within your energetic field. This is the core purpose of our transmission today. We are not here to meticulously hack your daily habits or change what you do. We are here to transform what you radiate. We are not focused on constructing a new and improved artificial persona. Instead, our goal is to strip away the suffocating static that has been obscuring the majestic, eternal version of you that has existed all along. Your internal illumination is already switched on. It has never once been turned off. We simply need to clear away the dense interference so the quantum reality can finally recognize and respond to your authentic, brilliant frequency. If the resonance of this message is already stirring something profound within you, please take a brief moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This simple action helps project this specific frequency out to others who are desperately seeking this exact clarity. Now, let us dive even deeper. I want to share the journey of a woman we will call Celeste. For 43 years, Celeste had perfected the art of being relentlessly capable. She was the definitive anchor, the ultimate problem solver everyone reached out to when chaos erupted. Whether in her corporate career, her family dynamics, or her local community, she organized everything. She fixed every crisis, and she always delivered. She carried a type of heavy reliability that allowed everyone around her to breathe easier, simply because they knew she would step up and handle the burden. However, Celeste harbored a silent, heavy secret she had never verbalized to a single soul. Not even fully acknowledging it to herself in plain terms, she was drowning in a profound exhaustion that a simple night of sleep could never cure. Yes, Her physical body was tired, but the true depletion was entirely energetic. It was a foundational draining of her spirit that she couldn't quite diagnose, manifesting as a persistent, hollow ache nestled deep within the center of her chest, right behind her sternum. She had consulted medical professionals and experimented with endless wellness regimens. She devoured literature on boundary setting and chronic burnout. She had even begrudgingly attempted meditation, only to abandon it in frustration when her hyper-vigilant mind refused to power down, leaving her feeling as though she was failing at yet another task. Nothing she tried could touch that relentless, hollow void inside her. Then, late one evening, long after the rest of her household had drifted to sleep, Celeste found herself sitting alone at her kitchen counter. The house was cloaked in absolute silence. For the first time in recent memory, she was doing absolutely nothing. She wasn't mentally drafting a to-do list. She wasn't agonizing over tomorrow's logistics, and she wasn't actively managing a crisis. She was merely existing in the quiet, and within that rare, unstructured stillness, a profound shift occurred, an event she would later describe as the most bizarre yet monumental turning point of her existence. She finally felt herself. She didn't feel her anxious thoughts. She didn't feel the crushing weight of her obligations. She didn't feel her manufactured identity of being the strong, reliable one. Stripped of all those heavy, external layers, she suddenly became aware of a radiant, undeniable warmth. It was a distinct quality of energy that felt as though it was pouring directly outward from her chest. It felt timeless, deeply unhurried, and in stark contrast to the rigidly controlled persona she exhausted herself playing every single day. Accompanied by this beautiful sensation was a staggering epiphany that quite literally took her breath away. She realized she had never actually broadcasted this authentic energy out into the world. Every single transmission she had previously emitted through her daily choices, her interactions, and her hurried movements had strictly broadcasted themes of hypercompetence, rigid reliability, extreme capability, and absolute control. She had only ever projected a tightly managed, surface-level performance. The profound warmth she was experiencing in that moment, this deeply quiet and genuinely luminous essence, had been kept under heavy lock and key, entirely inaccessible to the world around her. And tragically, to herself, she had spent over 4 decades unconsciously dimming the most authentic, vibrant part of her signal, burying it so deeply that she had almost forgotten it even existed. What Celeste tapped into during the quiet of her kitchen was the precise phenomenon of the heart field momentarily slipping into pure coherence, triggered entirely by the sudden absence of her chronic need to perform. When she finally dropped the artificial broadcast, her actual signature broke through. That gnawing emptiness she had carried for years wasn't a void at all. It was the agonizing sensation of her true energetic frequency being violently suppressed. It was the physical feeling of a massive, powerful electromagnetic sphere being forced into a chronic state of severe compression. In the subsequent weeks, Celeste embarked on a new path that felt incredibly alien and somewhat terrifying to a woman whose entire ego was wrapped in her own productivity. She intentionally began to do much less. This wasn't out of obligation or laziness, but rather an active practice of learning to distinguish the subtle vibrational difference between an action born from her authentic, core signal versus an action dictated by her ingrained performance. She began implementing pregnant pauses before agreeing to demands, not to calculate the most strategic response, but to genuinely feel what her inner truth was dictating. She finally granted herself the permission to let her own stillness exist. She didn't adopt this newfound stillness as some clever optimization hack or a new productivity strategy. Rather, it became her dedicated method of deeply tuning into the actual, unfiltered data her energy field was transmitting. Slowly, that pervasive, agonizing emptiness within her chest began to recede and fill with light. Then, a completely unforeseen phenomenon started to unfold. The caliber of experiences gravitating into her orbit underwent a profound shift. It wasn't an explosive, overnight transformation, but the change was absolutely undeniable. The people in her life began reacting to her in a totally different frequency. They no longer approached her merely as the utilitarian, hyper-competent problem solver. Instead, they were drawn to a presence that felt deeply nurturing, authentic, and profoundly warm. New opportunities began to surface, paths that aligned with the deeper truths of her soul rather than just her resume. Relationships that felt spiritually resonant, rather than purely transactional, began to blossom naturally. The intelligent quantum fabric was finally receiving her untainted signal, and it instantly set to work orchestrating a physical reality that mirrored the genuine Celeste, completely bypassing the exhausted, deformed persona she had worn for so long. Her energetic field had never forgotten her true identity. She had simply spent 43 years actively transmitting an entirely different vibration. Now, let us pivot this mirror back toward you. I share Celeste's journey because it is far from an isolated incident. In reality, it represents the most widespread human archetype on the planet. It is the universal tale of a magnificent being whose pure electromagnetic signature, whose authentic, radiant light is being heavily muffled and overshadowed by a meticulously crafted facade. We hide behind defensive armor, inherited behavioral loops, and artificial personas that we forged long ago, usually during chapters of our lives when expressing our true, vulnerable frequency felt far too risky or entirely unsafe. Therefore, I have a crucial question for you, and I urge you to intuitively feel for the answer within your body, rather than attempting to intellectualize it with your mind. What exact frequency are you transmitting out into the world right at this very second? I am not asking what you hope you are broadcasting, nor the image you desperately intend to project. What is the literal, undeniable vibration pulsating from your auric center as you navigate your everyday existence? When you step through a doorway, what invisible message does your energy introduce to the room? As you go about your mundane daily tasks, what specific wave is your heart continually pumping into the surrounding space? Here is the uncompromising reality of the situation. Your energetic field does not care about your noble aspirations. It does not transmit your idealized self-image, nor does it project the curated version of yourself you display on your very best days. Your aura exclusively broadcasts your actual, real-time state of being. It transmits the raw electromagnetic truth of your internal landscape, which absolutely includes all the heavy, unexamined baggage you carry below the threshold of your conscious awareness. Consequently, if you have been quietly harboring fear, even just a subtle, low-grade hum of chronic anxiety, that is precisely what your field is screaming into the cosmos. If you are weighed down by a lingering sense of inadequacy, even if you brilliantly camouflage it with overachievement and perfectionism, your frequency is undeniably broadcasting that exact lack. If you are holding on to unprocessed grief, suppressing unexpressed anger, or ignoring deep-seated desires, your energetic sphere is saturated with the distinct electromagnetic fingerprints of those suppressed emotions. Please understand, stating this is not an act of judgment or criticism. It is a profound invitation to awakening. The very second you bring conscious awareness to the actual data your field is transmitting, the moment you step out of the shadows of blind, default projection, you instantly reclaim the sovereignty to mold it. You gain the power to cleanse the static, and finally allow your native, brilliant frequency to pierce through. A transmission generated with pure, conscious intention possesses infinitely more magnetism than an unconscious, chaotic emanation. Therefore, let us take actionable steps right here, right now. We are going to enter the first true radiance practice of our session today. I invite you to genuinely participate in this exercise, rather than just passively listening to the words. Engage with it physically. We are stepping out of theoretical philosophy and directly interfacing with your literal, biological electromagnetic field. Settle into a posture that brings your body absolute ease, whether that means sitting upright or lying flat on your back. Please note, if you are currently operating a vehicle or engaged in any task that demands your focus, pause here and return to this exact segment later. This process absolutely requires your undivided, safe presence. If it feels comfortable for you, let your eyelids gently flutter closed, or simply allow your gaze to soften and rest heavily on the floor. Draw a deep, deliberate breath in through your nose and softly release it out through your parted lips. Abandon any need to force or control the rhythm. Just let the breath be effortless and fluid. Next, anchor your conscious awareness directly into the center of your chest. I don't mean your intellectual concept of your chest. I want you to feel the dense, physical architecture of that space. Guide your focus just behind the breastbone, right into the sanctuary enveloping your physical heart. Simply observe what resides there. Discard any notions of what you think ought to be present, and courageously witness what is genuinely occupying that space right at this second. Perhaps you detect a rigid tightness. Maybe there is a suffocating heaviness, or a sense of being tightly coiled and deeply guarded. Or perhaps you are met with a comforting warmth. It could very well be a complex tapestry of all these sensations colliding. Whatever emotional or physical textures you encounter, simply act as a neutral witness. Do not attempt to fix or alter anything. Allow yourself the grace to simply acknowledge the current baggage your heart's field is holding. From this place of neutral observation, I invite you to softly imagine, without straining to forcefully visualize, that the dense tissue and energy surrounding your heart center is gradually beginning to melt and soften. This isn't happening through forceful willpower, but rather through the profound act of granting yourself permission. You are offering your body explicit permission to drop its armor. You are giving your energetic core the green light to cease its chronic, exhausting contraction. Direct your next inhale directly into that specific region. Allow that breath to serve as a physical key, unlocking that permission. As you continue to breathe smoothly, gently invite, or begin to recognize, a distinct quality of radiant warmth blooming within that space. This isn't an artificial sensation you are struggling to fabricate, nor is it a forced performance of peace. This is the inherent, native warmth of your authentic heart field. It is the pure resonance that existed long before the trauma and fear were introduced, the eternal embers that have been quietly glowing beneath the heavy debris all along, patiently waiting for your return. Initially, it might be incredibly faint. It could be nothing more than the tiniest, fragile flicker of a spark. That is absolutely perfect. You are not artificially manufacturing this light. You are simply noticing it. It already exists within you. Finally, with profound gentleness and zero effort, grant that flicker of warmth the space to begin expanding. Do not push it outward with aggressive force. Instead, allow it to organically bloom and radiate, flowing outward with the exact natural grace that pure warmth always possesses. Let this radiant energy cascade outward in every conceivable direction. Visualize it illuminating the immediate space surrounding your physical vessel, wrapping warmly around your chest, cascading over your shoulders, projecting brightly in front of you, extending deeply behind you, and soaring both above your crown and beneath your feet. Understand this profound truth. You are not artificially generating this energetic sphere from scratch. Your physical heart naturally produces this expansive geometry on its own. You are merely removing the invisible dams. You are simply stepping aside and granting unhindered passage to a magnificent biological process that is already unfolding. Linger in this sensation for a few moments. Truly experience the architecture of the invisible field enveloping you. Absorb the profound warmth surging from your core. This is your genuine aura. This is the precise electromagnetic reality of your being when you achieve absolute harmonic coherence. This is the pure, unfiltered data the quantum universe receives the moment you stop getting in your own way. This is the unvarnished, authentic you. Now, draw in one more deep, grounding breath. Allow the energy to settle and anchor itself within your body. Whenever you feel ready, gently guide your conscious awareness back to the present moment. I need you to realize that whatever you just felt, whether it was a monumental shift or a deeply subtle flutter, was absolutely not a figment of your imagination. The electromagnetic barrier surrounding your heart literally, physically expanded during those few seconds. The simple, deliberate act of directing soft, unforced awareness into your chest cavity and permitting that innate warmth to bloom is recognized as one of the most rigorously studied and scientifically validated techniques for generating cardiac coherence. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute refer to this specific mechanism as heart-focused breathing. Empirical studies have consistently demonstrated that within mere minutes of engaging in this exact practice, undeniable, measurable shifts occur in your heart rate variability, HRV, which serves as the primary biological indicator of auric coherence. In that brief exercise, you fundamentally altered your cosmic broadcast. And here is the most crucial takeaway regarding that shift. The quantum fabric immediately took notice. I do not mean this metaphorically. I mean it in a literal, mechanical sense. The data packets encoded within your electromagnetic footprint fundamentally changed, and the invisible medium that tethers all of existence together instantly registered that upgraded frequency. You successfully transmitted a radically different message, one that was profoundly cleaner, highly ordered, and remarkably closer to your soul's native wavelength. The logic follows effortlessly. If you possess the capacity to do it once, you can absolutely replicate it. By replicating it, you forge the ability to sustain it consistently. And as you maintain this authentic transmission with greater regularity, the resulting impact on the reality the quantum field builds around you ceases to be a simple, linear progression. It becomes explosively exponential. This happens because coherence acts as a powerful magnet for more coherence. A highly organized, energetic state attracts harmonized life experiences, which in turn nourish your internal state, thereby amplifying your broadcast even further. This is the exact upward vortex inhabited by those individuals who appear to live magically charmed lives. Their secret isn't blind luck. Rather, whether through conscious practice or a natural disposition, their energetic signature reached a threshold of coherence that became entirely self-sustaining. You have the power to consciously step into that exact same vortex, and you just took the pivotal first step. Now, let us plunge even deeper into the literal mechanics of your personal energy sphere, because uncovering this next dimension will radically transform your comprehension of what the universe has been attempting to mirror back to you about your true identity. Your aura is not merely a single monolithic bubble of energy. Rather, it is a highly sophisticated, nested architecture of overlapping frequencies. Each distinct layer is powered by a different facet of your biological machinery. Each transmits a totally unique category of data, and each interfaces with the universal quantum web in very specific, targeted ways. The foundational tier, the layer vibrating closest to your physical skin, is generated by the microscopic electrical firing of your cellular structures and biological tissues. This specific band broadcasts the raw data of your physiological condition, communicating your baseline health, your physical stamina, and your cellular integrity. When your body feels deeply nourished, rested, and vibrant, this inner shield pulses with robust clarity. Conversely, when you are physically drained, battling illness, or running on fumes, this layer grows frail and splintered. This is the exact energetic frequency that the nervous systems of strangers unconsciously scan to determine whether you are bursting with vitality or running on empty, even if they have absolutely no conscious idea they are reading you. Moving outward, the subsequent layer is orchestrated by your central nervous system, the intricate, bioelectrical superhighway weaving through your anatomy, constantly processing stimuli and firing off electromagnetic rhythms that mirror your current neurological baseline. This intermediate field broadcasts your internal sense of safety. It reveals your hidden stress levels and the underlying tone of your fight-or-flight response. A nervous system heavily taxed by chronic anxiety or unresolved trauma emits a jarringly different electromagnetic hum compared to a system that is deeply regulated, grounded, and tranquil. This is the invisible layer others interact with when they intuitively decide whether you feel safe or dangerous to be around. It has absolutely nothing to do with the words you speak, because your neurological broadcast reaches their bodies long before you even open your mouth. Finally, we arrive at the crown jewel of this energetic anatomy, the heart field. This is unequivocally the most dominant expansive layer of your aura, projecting the furthest into physical space and carrying the most intricately coded information. Your heart's transmission broadcasts your genuine emotional reality, your capacity for relational vulnerability, and the depth of your authentic presence. Furthermore, it projects something far more profound, a quality that is difficult to articulate, yet rigorously quantified by scientific research. It broadcasts the absolute purity of your intentions, whether your core motives are genuinely compassionate and radically open, or secretly guarded, highly transactional, and steeped in fear. That exact truth is permanently woven into the electromagnetic tapestry of your heart's output, instantly transmitting to every living being in your vicinity. Here is the ultimate truth you must accept. You simply cannot counterfeit a coherent heart transmission. You can flash a brilliant smile. You can perfectly memorize the most charismatic script. You can expertly pantomime warmth and empathy. But your heart field will ruthlessly, beautifully broadcast the undeniable truth of who you are behind the mask. And the nervous systems of those around you are exquisitely tuned to decipher this exact truth, even when their conscious, analytical minds are entirely captivated by your outward performance. This perfectly clarifies why you might encounter individuals who appear flawlessly charismatic, perfectly rehearsed, and socially immaculate, yet they leave you with a lingering, unexplainable sense of unease. Their vocabulary and their body language are broadcasting one highly curated message, but your biological receiver, your nervous system, is directly downloading the discordant data from their heart field, and it is silently warning you that something is amiss. Conversely, this explains the phenomenon of the unassuming, silent presence in the back of a room who magically elevates the mood of everyone present without lifting a finger. Their heart field is naturally humming with such genuine, grounded coherence that every single person within its radius is positively elevated by the transmission, completely unaware of why they suddenly feel so much lighter. I would be genuinely fascinated to read about your personal encounters with this dynamic in the comments section below. Have you ever stepped across a threshold and palpably felt the atmospheric pressure of the room shift? Or perhaps someone has pointed out to you that your mere arrival completely transformed the energy of a space before a single word was spoken? Please share what you observed and what others reflected back to you. Those moments when you consciously witnessed your own field operating in the physical world are vital testaments to this truth, and your personal experience is an integral thread in this wider conversation. Your heart's energetic field is, without question, your most dominant mechanism of communication. However, it operates under a strict, unbendable rule. It does not broadcast the narrative you have decided is best for public consumption. It exclusively broadcasts the unfiltered, absolute truth of your internal universe. This profound biological reality presents both a daunting challenge and an ultimate, breathtaking liberation. Let us first address the challenge. You simply cannot curate your auric footprint the way you meticulously edit your social media presence or carefully select your wardrobe. You cannot manipulate your electromagnetic signature the way you strategically script your conversations. Your energy field ruthlessly broadcasts the exact reality of your inner condition. This includes the dark corners you have refused to examine, the uncomfortable emotions you have spent years avoiding, and the heavy, stagnant frequencies lingering from ancient traumas that you are still unconsciously carrying. Yet, within this exact same mechanism lies your ultimate liberation, because your field is physically incapable of broadcasting anything other than the truth. The pathway to achieving a more commanding, coherent, and genuinely radiant presence does not involve putting on a better performance. It does not require you to try harder to act like a spiritual, peaceful person. It doesn't require adding anything new to your repertoire at all. True transformation is entirely a process of subtraction. It is the active removal of everything that is false. It is the clearing away of the dense interference, so that your native signal can finally pierce through the static. And that core, native frequency, the pristine vibration that was echoing from your soul long before the layers of fear and conditioning were piled on top of it, is absolutely extraordinary. That pure signal is precisely what the quantum universe has always recognized whenever it looks in your direction. That signal is the authentic you. To further illuminate this concept, let us pivot to a mind-bending principle within quantum physics, one that will reframe your understanding of reality in a way that I promise will stay with you forever. Within the realm of quantum mechanics, there exists a well-documented phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. When two subatomic particles deeply interact, their individual quantum states become permanently woven together. They become correlated in such a profound way that this intimate connection persists absolutely, completely irrespective of the physical distance that later separates them. Once two particles are entangled, a shift in the state of one particle will instantaneously trigger a corresponding shift in the other, even if they are situated on opposite ends of the known universe. Albert Einstein famously wrestled with this concept, dismissively labeling it spooky action at a distance, because it seemingly violated the fundamental rule that no information could travel faster than the speed of light. However, modern science has proven Einstein wrong on this front. What quantum entanglement actively proves to us is staggering. At the most fundamental, microscopic level of existence, separation is merely an illusion. Radical, instantaneous connectivity is the ultimate baseline of reality. The quantum universe is not a barren, empty void filled with isolated, lonely particles bumping into one another. It is a highly intelligent, tightly woven web of infinite relationships. It is a conductive medium where anything that has ever intimately interacted retains an eternal, unbreakable quantum bond. Now, I want you to apply this breathtaking physics concept directly to the architecture of your personal energetic sphere. Every single profoundly meaningful interaction you have ever experienced, every moment of deep, soul-bearing connection, every instance of true resonance, and every relationship that truly mattered to you has forged a literal, scientific quantum entanglement. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is the literal mechanics of your existence. The individuals who have poured genuine love into you, the pivotal experiences that have carved out your character, those rare moments when you felt perfectly understood, all of those occurrences have generated quantum correlations that remain actively vibrating within your electromagnetic field right now. Consider what this means regarding the ultimate question of who you truly are. You are not a solitary, disconnected battery generating energy in a sterile vacuum. You are a highly active, brilliant node within a cosmic web of relationships. And every single one of those loving connections has contributed vital data to the frequency you carry. The deep love others have felt for you is permanently entangled with your aura. The moments of pristine joy you have experienced are still actively echoing in your electromagnetic signature. When the vast intelligence of the quantum field scans you, it does not merely see the small, contracted, anxiety-ridden persona you might be broadcasting on a stressful Tuesday. It perceives the complete, multi-dimensional quantum reality of your existence. It registers every single ounce of genuine love, every flash of profound connection, and every solitary second of authentic radiance that has ever flowed through your physical vessel. The quantum field witnesses your entire, glorious spectrum, and I assure you, your full spectrum is unimaginably more luminous than you currently believe. Building upon this, there is yet another dimension to this reality that might completely shatter your current paradigm. Emerging research within the pioneering discipline of quantum biology, a field dedicated to uncover the quantum mechanical processes occurring within living organisms, is beginning to suggest that the human nervous system might actually operate as a highly sophisticated quantum computer. Deep within the architecture of your brain cells lie microscopic tubular structures known as microtubules. Certain visionary researchers, most notably the brilliant theoretical physicist Sir Roger Penrose and the renowned anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff, have boldly proposed a theory suggesting that these microtubules actually facilitate and sustain states of quantum coherence, right at the biological level. While the monumental implications of this theory are still being hotly debated, rigorously explored, and tested across the global scientific community. However, the The foundational concept here is absolutely staggering. Your central nervous system might not merely function on standard, classical biological laws. Instead, it is highly probable that it operates, at least partially, on a pure quantum plane, in the framework of your personal energetic sphere. This implies that your aura is executing something infinitely more miraculous than simply transmitting basic electromagnetic frequencies. It suggests that your field is directly conversing with the raw, underlying fabric of reality itself, interfacing with the quantum web in ways that completely transcend traditional Newtonian physics and linear logic. Whenever you drop into a state of profound coherence, when your heart's broadcast is pristine and your nervous system is deeply anchored in safety and ease, reflecting true inner alignment, you actively generate the exact conditions required for high-level quantum interactions. These are exchanges that completely ignore the mundane, classical rules of cause and effect. Instead, they operate strictly through frequency resonance, profound energetic entanglement, and the instantaneous, non-local connectivity that quantum mechanics confirms is the bedrock of our physical universe. This is the precise, mechanical explanation behind those inexplicable moments that humanity has historically labeled as synchronicity, divine grace, or the magical sensation that the universe is actively conspiring in your favor. These occurrences are absolutely not born of superstition, nor are they mere wishful thinking. They are, in fact, the literal, experiential manifestation of your personal energetic signature locking into perfect, quantum-level harmony with the overarching field of reality. And the more consistently you cultivate your internal coherence, the more frequent, dependable, and astonishing these moments become. Pause for a second and truly feel your energetic field right now. Pay attention to what is actively pulsing out of your body. What you have just absorbed is far more than intellectual data. It is a profound invitation to realize that those magical chapters in your life, when everything effortlessly flowed, when the perfect opportunity manifested at precisely the right second, when you felt safely cradled by a benevolent force far greater than your immediate circumstances, were never random accidents. They were simply the byproduct of your coherent field speaking directly to the quantum matrix, and the matrix dutifully answering with a perfectly resonant reality. These states of exquisite flow are available to you on a much more consistent basis. They are not elusive, VIP experiences reserved only for rare, enlightened moments. They are the standard, natural consequence of a harmonized field, and crucially, you already possess everything required to achieve this state. It isn't a superpower you need to forcefully construct from scratch. It is simply your natural essence waiting to be uncovered. To illustrate this dynamic, I want to share the story of a man we will call Orion. For his entire adult life, Orion had been the quintessential spiritual seeker. He had consumed more literature regarding human consciousness, vibrational energy, and quantum realities than most people will encounter in multiple lifetimes. He was a veteran of countless esoteric workshops, deeply practiced in meditation, highly experienced in various healing modalities, and he possessed a genuinely profound, intellectual grasp of the exact concepts we are unpacking in this transmission. Yet, despite all this accumulated knowledge, there was a massive disconnect. He could articulate these theories with stunning elegance, but the actual, tangible reality of his daily existence, the caliber of his intimate relationships, the flow of his material circumstances, his baseline sensation of being vibrantly alive completely failed to mirror the vast wisdom he held in his mind. By his own admission, he was a remarkably well-educated individual who felt fundamentally, hopelessly paralyzed. One afternoon, while consulting with a mentor he deeply revered, Orion finally voiced his boiling frustration. He pleaded, "I comprehend all of this perfectly. I understand the mechanics of the aura. I know the science of quantum coherence and the power of the heart field. I know exactly what I am supposed to be doing, yet absolutely nothing in my reality is shifting. Why isn't any of this working for me?" His mentor sat in absolute silence for a long moment before piercing him with a single defining question. "What is it that you are so afraid of?" Immediately, Orion attempted to deflect, deploying the highly sophisticated psychological vocabulary he had mastered over the years. He began analyzing his limiting beliefs, unpacking his subconscious programming, and detailing the complex layers of his childhood conditioning. The teacher gently but firmly cut him off by shaking her head. "No," she stated. "Not theoretically. Right now, in this very physical moment. What are you afraid of?" That abrupt halt completely dismantled him, because beneath the heavy armor of his impressive spiritual relentless seeking and analyzing, there lurked a primal shadow he had never dared to look in the eye. It wasn't an abstract belief system or a mental pattern. It was a visceral, suffocating sensation, a profoundly specific, incredibly ancient, and heavily present emotion that had been humming through his physical body since his earliest memories. He was absolutely terrified of being truly seen. It wasn't a fear of harsh judgment or external criticism. It was a sheer terror of absolute visibility. He harbored a paralyzing conviction that if another human being were to ever strip away his curated identity as the wise seeker, the knower, and witness the raw, completely undefended, unfiltered version of him, they would find him severely lacking. He was terrified his true core would not be worthy of the very radiant light he intellectually preached about. He had dedicated years of his life to studying the theory of illumination, all while meticulously ensuring that not a single soul, including himself, could ever truly witness his own genuine light. His mentor slowly nodded in recognition. She told him, "Your energetic field is intimately aware of your terror, Orion, and it has been amplifying that exact fear louder than anything else you do. This isn't happening because you are broken. It is happening because your energy is brutally, beautifully honest. Your electromagnetic field is entirely incapable of lying, and at this exact moment, your aura is broadcasting a very coherent signal. The issue is simply that the transmission you are projecting is not the one you consciously believe you are sending. Your actual broadcast is screaming, 'Do not look at me. Do not truly perceive me.' And the vast, accommodating intelligence of the quantum universe is graciously honoring your precise request." Orion sat in stunned silence for a prolonged moment. Finally, he whispered, "How on earth do I fix this?" His mentor replied softly, "You do not fix it. You simply witness it. You must look directly at that terror with absolute clarity, without scrambling to repair it, without intellectualizing its psychological origins, and without allowing it to dictate your inherent worth. You merely grant yourself the permission to observe it, and from that space of neutral observation, you make a fundamentally different choice. This is not a cognitive, mental decision. It is a choice made at the level of your energetic field. You decide, straight from the center of your heart, to finally be visible. You permit your authentic illumination to be seen. You must cease burying your true frequency beneath the exhausting masquerade of the enlightened student who possesses all the answers. That singular distinction, the profound chasm between conceptually understanding radiant energy and literally choosing to radiate it, is the exact catalyst that alters everything. Following that profound exchange, Orion stepped back into his life and did something that terrified him to his core. He dropped the act. He completely abandoned the exhausting performance of being the man who held all the profound spiritual insights. He finally permitted himself the grace of simply not knowing. He allowed himself to exist in a state of uncertainty, to appear unpolished, and to remain genuinely grounded in the raw discomfort of lacking immediate answers. He allowed the world to interact with him in his messy, authentic reality, rather than his meticulously curated persona. Almost instantaneously, his energetic field transformed. This didn't occur because he had acquired some shiny new esoteric technique, but simply because he had finally ceased suppressing the profound light that was already vibrating within him. In a matter of mere months, the entire landscape of his reality became unrecognizable, not because he undertook drastically different external actions, but strictly because he overhauled his fundamental broadcast. The quantum matrix, finally receiving a genuinely pristine signal, immediately set to work, constructing a completely new physical reality around him. Your energetic field intimately knows exactly what you are desperately trying to conceal, and the universal matrix is actively reading that exact data. I do not share this to make you feel defensively exposed or uncomfortably vulnerable. I reveal this to present you with the most profoundly liberating truth you could possibly receive. You do not need to fix your broken pieces to upgrade your signal. You are not required to morph into a flawless version of yourself. All that is asked of you is to stop hiding what you already intrinsically are. The unfiltered you, the absolute, pure, electromagnetic signature of your soul, completely stripped of its defensive armor, its theatrical performances, and decades of accumulated static, is unequivocally the most potent transmission you possess. It is the exact frequency that the quantum universe rushes to answer most eagerly. It is the precise resonance that magnetizes the most deeply aligned circumstances, the most authentic human bonds, and the most harmonious life experiences. Your unvarnished truth is your ultimate superpower, and the quantum field has recognized this since the moment you were born. Now, we are going to pivot into a concept that will likely astonish you, just as it shocks most individuals when they first grasp its implications. Your auric field possesses memory. I am not referring to memory in the traditional, neurological sense. These are not narrative storylines cataloged in your brain, or visual flashbacks you can consciously retrieve on demand. I am speaking of literal, electromagnetic memory. Your energetic envelope holds the unencoded vibrational footprints of major events from your past. This is especially true for those pivotal moments that generated a massive surge of emotional intensity, yet were never fully digested or integrated when they initially happened. Let me explain the mechanics behind this. Whenever you endure a situation that triggers extreme emotional turbulence, whether that is paralyzing terror, profound sorrow, sudden shock, or even explosive joy and overwhelming love, your central nervous system reacts by flooding your body with a massive wave of bioelectrical voltage. This surge stamps a literal imprint into your electromagnetic aura. If that specific event is processed thoroughly, if the intense emotion is allowed to be fully experienced, physically expressed, and deeply integrated, that energetic imprint naturally dissolves, and your auric field gracefully returns to its baseline harmony. However, if the experience is aborted mid-process, if the raw emotion is forcefully shoved down, intellectually denied, or violently interrupted before it can run its biological course, that imprint becomes permanently lodged. It crystallizes into what physicists call a standing wave pattern, right within your electromagnetic sphere. It transforms into a localized frequency that continues to stubbornly broadcast its signal from your aura, often lingering for decades after the initial event took place. This phenomenon serves as the tangible, electromagnetic foundation for what clinical psychology refers to as unresolved trauma. Yet, this dynamic applies to scenarios far less extreme than what society typically classifies as traumatic. It is applicable to absolutely any instance involving a heavy emotional charge that was never granted the space to be fully felt. It is the suffocating grief you swallowed because society demanded you be strong. It is the trembling fear you locked away because you had no choice but to keep functioning and surviving. It is the boiling rage you bit back because voicing it felt life-threatening. It is even the staggering love you refused to let yourself fully embrace because the vulnerability felt far too dangerous. Every single ounce of it is still residing right there in your field, and every single ounce of it is still actively broadcasting. And here is the most staggering revelation regarding this dynamic. The intelligent quantum web is currently reading all of those ancient transmissions as if they are happening at this exact second. From the perspective of the universal field, they are entirely current. They exist as highly active, pulsating patterns within your present-day electromagnetic signature. The quantum matrix does not own a calendar. It has no concept that a specific trauma originated in 1987, 2003, or just last Tuesday. It strictly interprets these standing waves as your current, real-time frequency, and it obediently constructs your immediate physical reality to match them. This is the exact reason you can exert monumental, exhausting effort attempting to change the trajectory of your life, only to repeatedly slam into the exact same frustrating scenarios. The superficial set dressing has been swapped out, but the foundational broadcast hasn't budged an inch. The universe is simply reading those ancient, stagnant wave patterns locked in your aura and flawlessly assembling resonant experiences around them. This also perfectly illuminates why authentic healing, which is not merely changing your habits or adopting cognitive reframing, but actual, literal energetic clearing, alters the fabric of your life in ways that appear downright miraculous. The moment a stagnant, ancient wave pattern within your aura is finally brought into harmony, when that deeply suppressed emotion is ultimately permitted to be felt and the unintegrated memory is fully digested, your energetic transmission fundamentally transforms. Immediately, the vast intelligence of the quantum fabric detects this upgraded signal and orchestrates a new physical response. Please hear this clearly. You are absolutely not required to embark on a grueling, decades-long archaeological dig through your past to achieve this clearing. You do not need to spend endless hours in psychoanalysis, desperately trying to unearth every single buried trauma. All that is truly required is a courageous willingness to sit with whatever is actively vibrating in your energy field right at this very second. It is about casting a gentle, radically honest gaze upon what your aura is genuinely holding in the present moment, not what you desperately wish it were carrying, nor the idealized frequency you feel you ought to be emitting. Cultivating this practice of raw, unvarnished field awareness, the act of simply sinking into your own electromagnetic signature without a shred of judgment, and crucially, without the frantic urge to instantly fix or medicate what you uncover, is arguably the most profoundly transformative action you can take to elevate the coherence of your broadcast. Why? Because the very act of shining the light of conscious awareness onto a shadow forces it to begin integrating. Whatever you grant yourself the permission to fully feel will naturally begin to resolve itself. Whatever you bravely acknowledge will inherently begin to release its grip on your biology. Your auric field does not need to be fiercely managed or tightly controlled. It simply begs to be met with compassionate presence. Let us transition into our second active practice of this session. This exercise is entirely dedicated to meeting your current energy field with absolute honesty. Draw in a soft, grounding breath. Allow the exhalation to be incredibly easy and fluid. Now, gently anchor your conscious awareness back into the dense architecture of your physical vessel. Bypass the chaotic chatter of your mind entirely, and drop straight into the tangible, physical sensations alive within your body right now. Begin to slowly, methodically scan your physical form, starting from the soles of your feet and drifting upward. Do not actively hunt for anything in particular. You are merely operating as a neutral observer. How does the internal landscape of your body feel at this exact moment? Where do you notice pockets of spaciousness and effortless ease? Where do you detect dense knots of tension? Are there specific areas where you feel a distinct sense of bracing, guarding, or a heavy holding on? Do not attempt to force these areas to relax or change. Simply witness them. Next, guide your focused attention specifically into the regions of your chest and your lower abdomen. Within the human biocircuitry, these two centers act as the primary storage vaults for heavy emotional data. What exact texture is residing in those spaces right now? Again, discard any notions of what you believe should be there, and boldly face what is actually there. Perhaps you encounter a tight, suffocating constriction that your mind labels as anxiety. Perhaps you stumble upon a dense, sinking heaviness that you recognize as unwept sorrow. Conversely, you might discover a radiant, glowing warmth that signals a profound state of being entirely okay. Or you might find a vague, nameless quality of sensation, a frequency that has hummed in the background for so many years that you simply stopped recognizing it as anything other than your normal baseline. Whatever you find, just allow yourself to intimately know it. Resist the urge to fix it, analyze it, or judge it. Merely let yourself become completely, honestly attuned to the exact energetic baggage your field is currently carrying. This radical act of field awareness is the bedrock upon which all true transformation is built. For you cannot ever alter what you refuse to look at. and you can never truly see what you are terrified to feel. Now, from this grounded state of transparent awareness, I want you to redirect your focus straight back into the center of your heart. And I invite you to ask yourself a profound question, not using the analytical machinery of your brain, but querying the deep intelligence of your heart center. What is the absolute truest thing about me right at this moment? I am not asking for a clinical description of your current mood. I am asking for the ultimate truth. What is the fundamental, indestructible core of who you are, resting quietly beneath all the heavy baggage you are currently lugging around? Allow whatever bubbles up to the surface to simply arrive. It might manifest as a single word. It might arise as a complex emotion. It might present as an undeniable quality of deep stillness, vibrating warmth, or raw electric aliveness. Alternatively, you might be met with absolute silence, a profound emptiness, and that beautiful nothingness might be the most honest, pure transmission of all. Whatever arises in that space is infinitely closer to your authentic, native signature than any grand identity your ego could ever construct. That subtle whisper is a direct glimpse of the majestic frequency that is entirely native to your soul. It is a pure taste of the brilliant reality the quantum field has recognized in you since the dawn of your existence. Linger in that pristine truth for a few moments. Anchor it into your reality. Let it be unequivocally real. And then, grant it the freedom to expand. Allow that core, unshakable truth to begin radiating outward from your heart center, saturating every cell in your physical body, and flooding the invisible field surrounding you. Do this without a single ounce of forceful effort, but rather with a profound sense of permission. Simply allow the most authentic aspect of your being to step up to the microphone and become your dominant broadcast. This is your genuine signal. This is the unmasked you, and when this pure truth is what your aura is actively transmitting, the vast quantum matrix will instantly respond by mirroring back every possible circumstance that resonates perfectly with it. Take a deep, settling breath, and gently draw your awareness back to the room. I want to pause here for a moment and pose a very direct question to you. Can you recall a specific instance in your life when you palpably felt your own aura dramatically shift gears? Was there a moment when a dormant frequency within your field suddenly activated, and the physical atmosphere of the room instantly transformed in response? Did someone suddenly look at you with entirely new eyes? Or perhaps you simply felt the undeniable, physical warmth of your own internal light in a way that defied all logical explanation? I deeply encourage you to share that experience in the comments section below. These instances of conscious field recognition are not trivial coincidences. They are vital data points. They are the undeniable evidence of your authentic signal finally shattering through the static. Furthermore, when we read and witness each other's lived experiences, it generates a collective, resonant frequency that actively amplifies all of our personal fields. The profound state you just brushed against during that practice is precisely what we are diligently working to establish as your permanent, everyday broadcast. The ultimate objective is not for this to be a fleeting, meditative state you occasionally visit, but rather the foundational frequency you naturally inhabit as your standard baseline of existence. We are aiming for the real you, broadcasting with absolute clarity, unshakable consistency, and undeniable power. Now, I want to explore exactly what begins to shift in your reality when that monumental alignment finally occurs. I am not speaking in vague, theoretical abstractions. I am talking about the highly concrete, deeply tangible, lived experiences of what your daily life actually looks and feels like when your personal field achieves a state of genuine, unwavering coherence. The very first profound shift you will notice is a radical evolution in your relationship with synchronicity. Once your energetic field locks into true coherence, when you are continuously and clearly beaming your authentic, native signal into the void, the surrounding quantum intelligence immediately gets to work. It begins to assemble events, encounters, and opportunities around that pure signal with a level of precision that feels delightfully uncanny. The precise individual you need crosses your path at the exact fraction of a second they are required. The crucial piece of information you were desperately seeking suddenly manifests through a completely unforeseen avenue. A golden opportunity, perfectly tailored to the exact vision you have been cultivating, materializes right in front of you before you even have to forcefully chase it down. I need you to understand that these occurrences are absolutely not divine miracles, nor are they the byproduct of random luck. They are the mechanics of pure resonance in action. They are the direct result of the universal quantum matrix reading your highly coherent signal and seamlessly collapsing infinite waves of probability into a physical reality that flawlessly matches your vibration. The cleaner and more harmonized your energetic field becomes, the more frequently this magical alignment occurs. Naturally, as you witness this happening more often, your innate trust in the unfolding process deepens profoundly. That deepened state of trust further relaxes your nervous system, which subsequently amplifies the coherence of your field even more, thereby magnetizing even greater synchronicity. This is the ultimate upward spiral of creation. The second monumental transformation you will witness occurs within the caliber of your interpersonal relationships. When you finally begin transmitting your authentic signal, when your heart's broadcast is saturated with unshielded warmth and raw openness, rather than a heavily rehearsed but defensive performance, the nervous systems of the people around you instantly decode that safety. They do not register this shift with their analytical minds. Their biological fields feel it. People will suddenly feel a profound sense of safety in your presence. They will feel genuinely witnessed and acknowledged. They will experience a distinct, undeniable quality of realness when they are near you, a visceral, knowing that you are truly, authentically in the room, rather than managing the social interaction from safely behind an invisible pane of bulletproof glass. This pure transmission acts as a powerful magnet for authentic connection. It completely bypasses the superficial, purely transactional, exhausting networking that the majority of humanity relies upon to navigate their days. Instead, it invites the type of deeply nourishing bond that leaves your soul feeling vibrantly alive, rather than energetically drained. It fosters relationships that are built entirely upon subconscious, field-to-field recognition, completely rendering the mutual performance of acceptable social personas obsolete. The third profound shift revolutionizes the relationship you hold with your own physical biology. The moment your personal field achieves sustained coherence, the internal feedback loop bridging your invisible electromagnetic aura and your dense, physical body radically alters, as rigorously documented by the researchers at the HeartMath Institute. Achieving cardiac coherence, the state where your heart's energetic output is beautifully ordered, rhythmic, and robust, triggers literal, measurable chemical transformations within your internal environment. It optimizes your hormonal balance. It dramatically bolsters your immune system's function. It clears the fog, granting you razor-sharp cognitive clarity, and massively fortifies your emotional resilience. To put it plainly, your physical vessel literally operates on a superior biological timeline when your field is harmonized. You simply feel more vibrantly alive. You experience a crystal-clear headspace, allowing you to respond to life's challenges with genuine, grounded wisdom rather than knee-jerk, trauma-based reactivity. Your nervous system, finally freed from the exhausting grip of chronic fight-or-flight activation, is granted the profound permission to rest, repair, and restore itself. And a deeply restored nervous system naturally generates an even cleaner electromagnetic signal, which breeds deeper coherence, which in turn fuels even better physical health. This magnificent upward spiral penetrates all the way down into your cellular biology. The fourth, and arguably the most breathtaking evolution of all, happens directly within your relationship with yourself. When you make the courageous decision to stop suppressing your native signal, when you allow the unvarnished, majestic frequency of your true essence to broadcast freely, abandoning the meticulously managed theatrical performance, you begin to know yourself in a dimension completely alien to anything you have previously experienced. This is not the superficial brand of self-knowledge acquired through endless psychoanalysis, journaling, or intellectual introspection. This is the unshakable self-knowledge, born from feeling your own energetic field with absolute clarity. It is the undeniable recognition of what is undeniably true within your own electromagnetic reality. This is exactly what the vast quantum web has been desperately trying to communicate to you regarding your true identity. It isn't handing you a philosophical concept. It isn't offering a psychological label. It is offering you a direct, deeply felt, visceral experience of your own majestic frequency. It wants you to feel the astonishing warmth, the raw power, and the undeniable luminosity that is entirely native to your soul, the exact light that has been stubbornly broadcasting beneath the heavy rubble of your life since the day you were born. The quantum matrix sees this brilliant core. It has never once lost sight of it, and it has been relentlessly attempting to reflect that magnificent truth back to you through every fleeting moment of unexpected clarity you have ever enjoyed. Every beautiful instance of raw human connection, every single second you found yourself effortlessly gliding in a state of flow and grace, those were not accidents. Those were the profound moments when the quantum field held up a mirror to your authentic signal, whispering, "Look at this. This is who you actually are. This is the real you." Now, I must pivot to address a highly specific, potentially uncomfortable sensation that I know is arising for many of you right now, as it surfaces for nearly every single person who engages deeply with this level of energetic truth. We must talk about what you are supposed to do with the gap. The gap is that agonizing distance between the elevated frequency you desperately want to be broadcasting and the messy, chaotic frequency you are actually broadcasting in this present moment. Because let's be honest, there is almost certainly a gap. There is an undeniable chasm between the perfectly coherent, infinitely luminous, sovereign signal of your native soul and the scattered, static-filled reality of your daily energetic output. When you first wake up and become consciously aware of this vast distance, it can easily feel like a crushing personal failure. It can masquerade as glaring evidence that you haven't evolved nearly as much as you hoped. It can feel like a brutal spotlight, illuminating every single unhealed wound, every unresolved trauma, and every stubborn, outdated pattern that is still hijacking your broadcast. I want to speak directly, heart to that exact feeling of inadequacy, because correctly reframing this sensation is one of the most critical steps in your entire journey. Please hear me. The gap is not a problem. The gap is nothing more than neutral, incredibly valuable information. Furthermore, possessing the self-awareness to actually notice the gap is, in and of itself, the ultimate proof that your energetic coherence is rapidly expanding. Think about it logically. You would be completely incapable of perceiving the vast distance between your current chaotic broadcast and your pristine natural frequency unless your overall field was already becoming significantly clearer. The mere ability to consciously recognize this discrepancy, the fact that you can vividly feel the contrast between your heavily rehearsed mask and your raw native frequency, or distinguish between a tightly constricted aura and a beautifully expansive one, is the ultimate proof that your energetic perception is rapidly evolving. It signifies that your genuine signal is finally surging with enough power to be clearly identified by your own awareness. I need you to internalize this. The gap is absolutely not a glaring red mark on your spiritual report card indicating how distant you are from your own inner light. On the contrary, it is undeniable, physical evidence that your light is finally breaking through the darkness and becoming visible. So, how do you properly navigate this uncomfortable chasm? You certainly do not conquer it by applying brute force. You do not close the distance by piling on more extreme spiritual routines, rigid mental disciplines, or exhausting physical effort. You navigate this gap using the exact same mechanism you must use for every single anomaly within your energetic field. You bathe it in soft, radically honest, completely non-judgmental awareness. You step back and simply allow the organic, biological mechanics of integration to run their natural course. Understand this foundational truth. Your electromagnetic field inherently craves harmony. Absolute coherence is its default, biological factory setting. The chaotic static, the fragmented emotional noise, those stubborn, ancient standing waves. None of these represent your true baseline. They are nothing more than superficial interference. And here is the beautiful secret about interference. The second it is brought into the light of conscious awareness and genuinely felt, rather than being violently shoved down, medicated, or micromanaged, it naturally begins to dissolve. You do not need to forcefully construct harmony from scratch. You simply need to cease desperately maintaining the chaos. You are not required to artificially manufacture your soul's brilliance. You just have to stop suffocating it under heavy armor. You don't have to somehow transform into the real you. You simply have to resign from the exhausting, full-time job of playing the imposter. Each time you actively choose raw, unvarnished truth over a meticulously curated facade, each time you dare to feel the actual climate of your field instead of the weather you desperately wish were there, you take a monumental, quantum leap closer to your native broadcast. This is the actual work. It isn't highly theatrical. It isn't a dramatic hero's journey. It demands zero esoteric skills, special talents, or lofty spiritual degrees. It is merely the quiet, relentless, incredibly brave habit of being ruthlessly honest with your own energetic footprint. To ground this concept in reality, let me share the journey of a 27-year-old man we will call Elias. Elias had recently tumbled headfirst into the expansive world of quantum consciousness and energetic mastery. He was fiercely dedicated, bubbling with intense enthusiasm, and starving for a massive life overhaul. He rigorously meditated every single dawn without fail. He obsessively journaled his thoughts every night before bed. He had constructed a dizzyingly complex architecture of daily rituals, meticulously engineered to raise his vibration and purify his auric field. Yet, lurking just beneath this immaculate spiritual resume, Elias was drowning in profound misery. And it was a highly specific brand of misery that his rigorous routines couldn't even scratch, primarily because his practices had subtly morphed into just another elaborate mask. He was essentially putting on an Oscar-worthy performance of spiritual enlightenment. He wasn't engaging in these rituals from a grounded, authentic internal compass. He was driven by a frantic, desperate hustle to magically transform himself into someone whose life wasn't falling apart. His morning meditations were not moments of profound stillness. They were high-octane anxiety sessions cleverly disguised in yoga clothes. His nightly journaling wasn't raw, vulnerable introspection. It was the active fabrication of a success story he desperately wanted to believe. Instead of peeling away his false layers, his spiritual practices were actively cementing new, thicker ones on top. Then, one random morning, Elias sat on his meditation cushion to begin his routine, and he hit an invisible brick wall. He physically couldn't do it. It wasn't due to a fleeting distraction or a restless, wandering mind. A deeper, primal intelligence within him simply staged a rebellion. It absolutely refused to pantomime the fake peace for one more second. It refused to blindly execute a spiritual checklist that was completely ignoring the raging storm actually tearing through his energy field. So, he abandoned the technique. He didn't chant. He didn't visualize a white light. He just sat there, and within that raw, unstructured, unscripted silence, a massive, terrifying truth bubbled to the surface, a truth his relentless healing routines had successfully kept suppressed for months. He was agonizingly, suffocatingly lonely. This wasn't a superficial lack of social calendar events. He had plenty of acquaintances. It was the deeply specific, hollow isolation that only strikes someone whose authentic soul has never once been witnessed by another human being. His true energetic signature had never been received by the universe, because he had never possessed the courage to actually transmit it. He had spent all his energy desperately trying to mold himself into a high-frequency being worthy of love, completely failing to realize he hadn't transmitted a single authentic emotion in years. Elias sat in the heavy soup of that agonizing loneliness for hours. He didn't try to mentally hack it. He didn't immediately try to reframe it as a beautiful spiritual lesson. He simply let it burn. He let the isolation be as devastatingly real as it actually was. and slowly, an undeniable shift rippled through his electromagnetic field. It wasn't fireworks or a sudden explosion of bliss. It was a subtle, profound relief, akin to cracking open a window in a stuffy, abandoned house. The architecture of the room didn't magically change, but fresh, oxygenated reality was finally allowed to circulate where only stale, dead air had existed before. He formally abandoned his rigid practices that day. He would eventually pick them back up months later, but only when they arose from a place of genuine joy rather than desperate striving. For that entire day, he just allowed himself to be the messy, deeply lonely human who didn't know how to connect. He let that raw vulnerability be his primary broadcast, and the results were nothing short of miraculous. That very evening, Elias found himself in a casual conversation with an old friend, a chat that suddenly, inexplicably veered far off the beaten path. It plunged into deeply unshielded, radically honest, profoundly raw territory. As they finally wrapped up the conversation, his friend looked at him with wide eyes and said something that froze Elias in his tracks. "I feel like I'm finally talking to you for the very first time. It feels like you're actually in the room." Elias's genuine frequency had finally shattered the static. This didn't happen because he successfully meditated his way into the perfect frequency. It happened because he finally dropped the exhausting act of pretending to have the perfect frequency and simply let his actual, painful truth ring out. The responsive quantum web caught that authentic signal immediately, and within hours, it materialized a perfectly resonant, deeply genuine moment of human connection right before his eyes. This happens because authentic human connection is the natural, guaranteed byproduct of raw, authentic presence. Yes, your daily spiritual disciplines hold immense value. Your dedication to maintaining the hygiene of your energetic field is absolutely vital. However, you must realize that the most potent, supreme practice you can ever cultivate is radical honesty. It is the uncompromising awareness of the literal data your aura is currently holding, combined with the brave willingness to let that exact truth be fully seen rather than tightly curated for public consumption. This profound level of transparency is your ultimate superpower, and beautifully, it demands absolutely zero resources that you do not already possess within your own chest. Now, let us push the boundaries even further and introduce a completely new dimension to this paradigm. We are going to expand the definition of your true identity far beyond the borders of your localized energetic bubble, stepping directly into the macrocosm. Your personal aura does not operate in a lonely, sterile vacuum. Your electromagnetic field actively pulsates within an intricate, nested architecture of exponentially larger fields. You are perpetually interfacing with the energetic grids of your intimate relationships, the broader frequencies of your local community, the massive wave of the human collective, and ultimately, the infinite, underlying quantum fabric of the universe itself. When the cosmic intelligence scans your signature, it doesn't just read an isolated, solitary frequency. It registers you as a vital, brilliant intersection, a crucial node within a staggering, limitless web of universal interconnection. This distinction is paramount. It implies that your ultimate identity transcends the mere sum of your personal bioelectric output. Who you truly are also encompasses the distinct caliber of your resonance with the macroscopic environments holding you. Your existence is defined by how your personal illumination physically collides with, elevates, or dampens the radiant light of every single living being that crosses your path. To ground this heavily in empirical science, consider the pioneering work of the HeartMath Institute and their fascinating Global Coherence Initiative. Their researchers have been actively studying a mind-bending hypothesis. When a critical mass of human hearts lock into a state of synchronized coherence simultaneously, their combined electromagnetic output literally alters the Earth's own geomagnetic environment in a scientifically measurable way. Highly sensitive monitoring stations strategically placed across the globe have documented undeniable correlations between massive, collective surges in human emotion and literal spikes or dips in the magnetic field protecting our planet. You are not severed from the energetic pulse of the earth. You are engaged in a ceaseless, silent, electromagnetic dialogue with the environment and every single biological field surrounding you. And the specific caliber of that ongoing conversation, whether it serves to mutually amplify and harmonize or creates jarring interference and energetic depletion, is entirely dictated by the baseline coherence of your individual heart center. When your personal transmission achieves harmony, it automatically upgrades the coherence of the entire human collective. Your internal radiance acts as a literal amplifier for the light of those in your vicinity. This doesn't require you to strain, force healing upon anyone, or even set a conscious intention. It happens purely through the physics of your grounded, coherent presence. Place one highly organized, coherent energy field into a room filled with chaotic, fractured fields, and the dominant, harmonized signal will naturally begin to pull the others into its rhythm. In physics, this is known as the law of entrainment. A highly ordered energetic oscillator will invariably draw weaker, disorganized oscillators into alignment with its own superior frequency. You have undoubtedly witnessed this phenomenon firsthand. Think of that specific individual who steps across the threshold, and the entire atmospheric pressure of the room instantly lightens. They didn't utter a brilliant joke or perform a grand gesture. Their deeply coherent field simply flooded the space and immediately began entraining the chaotic frequencies of everyone else in the room toward peace. Think of that rare friend who effortlessly makes you feel incredibly grounded, mentally sharp, and utterly safe to be your quirky self, just by sitting next to you. That magnetic quality is not merely a good personality. It is the raw, biological power of field coherence, and that exact same capability is fully accessible to you. By evolving into a consistently harmonized transmitter, you naturally become a vital generator of pure light within the global grid. You achieve this not by taking on the exhausting savior role, frantically trying to fix, heal, or aggressively improve the people around you. You achieve it because harmonic resonance is wildly contagious. The sheer clarity of your authentic broadcast acts as a silent, powerful invitation, giving the nervous systems of everyone around you the subconscious permission to drop their armor and let their own authentic signals emerge. This is the ultimate, macro-level definition of your true identity. You are a brilliant node of harmonized light, seamlessly woven into the infinite quantum tapestry. You are continuously feeding your pristine, native frequency into the collective matrix, simultaneously receiving a constant stream of resonant miracles in return, and actively participating in the grand cosmic dialogue occurring between individual consciousness and the very fabric of existence. The intelligence of the universe is practically screaming this truth at you. You are not insignificant. You are not a stranded, isolated speck. You are not a lonely ego generating a disconnected, private hallucination within a cold, indifferent universe. You are a towering, radiant pillar of quantum energy, deeply entrenched within a living web of infinite relationships, perpetually emitting a broadcast that literally forces the physical fabric of reality to bend and respond. Your inner illumination is not just vital for your personal success, it is a required component for the evolution of the collective field. Your internal harmony physically upgrades the harmony of the world. Again, this is not an exercise in spiritual ego or delusions of grandeur. This is literal, measurable physics, and it is the most vital, universe-shattering truth the quantum field has been attempting to reveal to you about your ultimate nature. We are now going to transition into our final and most profound active practice of this entire transmission. This specific exercise is designed to explicitly link your localized energy center to the massive, overarching cosmic grid. It is an opportunity to viscerally experience yourself as the brilliant intersection of light you truly are. Draw in a slow, deeply nourishing breath. Allow all physical effort to melt away. Bring your focus down into the soles of your feet, resting firmly on the floor, or feel the solid weight of your body pressing into the furniture supporting you. Fully register the dense, physical reality of gravity anchoring you to the earth. You are not an untethered spirit floating away into the ether. You are deeply, securely rooted. You are an integral, heavy, physical component of this material plane. Now, guide your awareness back up into the architecture of your heart's field. Notice that distinct, humming warmth radiating outward from your chest. Visualize this invisible, magnetic sphere expanding far past the boundaries of your physical skin in a complete 360-degree radius. Allow yourself to feel its tangible presence, because it is an absolute reality. From this anchored center, we are going to stretch your boundaries. Do not use your analytical mind to picture this. Use your physical, biological senses to feel it. Allow the fundamental sensation of you to begin bleeding outward from your heart's perimeter. Let your presence stretch far beyond the silhouette of your physical body. Let your consciousness spill far past the physical architectural boundaries of the room you currently occupy. Reach out and tangibly brush against the invisible space surrounding you. Feel the air, the atmospheric pressure, the buzzing living biosphere that pulses in every single direction. You are absolutely not severed from this grand tapestry. Your personal energetic sphere is engaged in a relentless dynamic exchange with all of it. You are not merely a tiny, isolated self wandering blindly through a massive world. You are an interactive field vibrating within an infinite field. You are a unique frequency harmonizing within a master frequency. Now, I want you to sense, imagine, or gently invite the presence of the quantum matrix itself. Do not treat this as a dry, philosophical concept. Invite it as a deeply felt, physical reality. Acknowledge this vast, brilliantly luminous, information-rich ether that seamlessly binds every atom of existence together. This is the very medium where every solid particle of matter originates, as a fluid wave of infinite probability. And this exact field is actively reading your personal broadcast at this very second. Allow yourself to fully absorb the staggering reality that the quantum universe knows you. It doesn't know you as a vague, abstract human statistic. It knows you intimately and specifically. It recognizes your exact energetic fingerprint. It knows your unvarnished, authentic signal. It has been closely reading your transmission since the moment you drew your first breath. If you can, allow yourself to feel even just for a fleeting second what it actually means to be completely, utterly seen by this infinite intelligence. Imagine having your true, native signal received without distortion. Imagine being recognized entirely as the luminous, beautifully coherent, and radically powerful entity you truly are, completely bypassing the exhausted, performed avatar you present to society. Feel the quantum fabric actively reflecting that brilliant truth right back at you. It is showing you exactly what it has always seen: the profound warmth, the unshakable power, and the genuine, radiant light that is native to your soul. This is the exact frequency that was humming perfectly before the traumas and fears were ever stacked on top of it. This is the internal sun that has been burning brightly your entire life, even during those dark chapters when you were entirely blind to its glow. This is the genuine you. This is exactly what the cosmic intelligence witnesses every single time it looks in your direction. Let that profound recognition seep into your bones. Allow yourself the grace of being witnessed exactly as you are. Draw a slow, anchoring breath. Linger in this expansive sensation for as long as it feels vibrant and alive in your body. Whenever you feel completely ready, begin to gently reel your awareness back into the present moment. But as you return, strictly carry that profound, felt sensation of being genuinely seen back with you into your ordinary, waking life. Whatever you just experienced in that exercise, whether it was a monumental paradigm shift or just the faintest, subtle flutter of relief, was the literal quantum field communicating your true identity to you. It didn't use human vocabulary. It used the direct, undeniable language of biological recognition. It spoke through the profound warmth of being intimately understood, and that exact state of recognition is perpetually available to you. It is not a VIP experience reserved strictly for deep meditation. It is accessible in the mundane moments of your everyday life. It activates every single time you courageously choose raw, honest presence over a carefully managed performance. It sparks every time you permit your genuine signal to broadcast. It happens the moment you finally stop actively dimming the light that has always been switched on. Now, let us weave all of these profound threads together, because we have traversed an immense amount of conceptual and energetic ground throughout this transmission. My ultimate goal is to ensure you walk away not merely holding new intellectual data, but armed with a living, breathing understanding that permanently alters how you navigate your reality. Your aura is an undeniable, empirical reality. It is a scientifically measurable, electromagnetic biosphere, generated predominantly by the rhythmic beating of your physical heart. It extends several feet outward from your skin, acting as a massive data transmitter that broadcasts the intricate details of your internal landscape, your subconscious emotional loops, your true intentions, and your baseline vibrational frequency. This localized field is locked in an unceasing, real-time dialogue with the overarching quantum web of reality. The universe reads your specific energetic output and dutifully collapses probability waves to assemble physical experiences that perfectly match your broadcast. The tragedy is that the vast majority of humanity is broadcasting completely unconsciously. Without realizing it, they are continuously radiating the dense, accumulated static of their unhealed fears, societal conditioning, unprocessed traumas, and defensive behavioral performances. The quantum field, acting as an impartial mirror, faithfully reads this chaotic static and constructs a stressful, fragmented reality that perfectly matches it. Once again, you must understand, this is never a cosmic punishment. It is strictly the mechanics of physics, the authentic you, the pristine, native frequency of your being, the pure transmission that existed long before the heavy layers of fear were glued on top of it, is a highly coherent, staggeringly powerful, and genuinely luminous electromagnetic reality. It is absolutely not a new personality trait you must forcefully build, study, or strive to become. It is simply a truth you must stop actively hiding. The journey back to your authentic signal is an act of subtraction, never addition. It requires radical honesty, not better acting. It demands a gentle allowing, not a forceful striving. The quantum universe has always intimately known your true signal. It has relentlessly attempted to remind you of this brilliance through every sudden burst of mental clarity you've had. It spoke to you through every instance of soul-deep human connection. It mirrored your truth during every magical second of flow, grace, and effortless synchronicity you have ever experienced. None of those beautiful moments were random glitches. They were the universe holding up a mirror, aggressively showing you exactly who you actually are. And who you actually are is nothing short of extraordinary. I do not mean extraordinary in an ego-driven sense that artificially elevates you above the rest of humanity. I mean it in the most literal, definitional sense. You are beyond ordinary. You exist far beyond the contracted, anxious, survival mode avatar you have been exhausting yourself playing day after day. You exist infinitely beyond the accumulated static, the stagnant trauma waves, and the dense interference of your unintegrated past. Stripped of all that heavy armor, your true core is a frequency that is genuinely radiant. It is genuinely magnetic. It is inherently designed to effortlessly pull in deeply aligned circumstances, authentic relationships, and massive quantum synchronicities that make it feel as though the entire universe is actively conspiring in your favor. Because the undeniable truth is this: when you finally allow your real, untainted signal to broadcast, the universe is conspiring in your favor. The quantum field reads your newly coherent signal and happily collapses infinite waves of probability into physical realities that perfectly harmonize with it. Your lived reality literally begins to organize itself around your authentic vibration. This is not some distant, utopian fantasy reserved for the afterlife. This is the literal physics of your present-day electromagnetic reality. The sole obstacle standing between you and experiencing this magical flow on a daily basis is the lingering interference, the static, the masks, and the active suppression of your true voice. But as you now know, the very second you cast the gentle light of honest awareness onto that interference, it instantly begins to dissolve. This profound integration does not occur through sheer willpower or aggressive force. It happens through the innate, biological intelligence of your own energetic system. Your field inherently knows exactly how to harmonize itself. It existed in a state of pristine coherence long before the heavy layers of trauma and societal interference ever accumulated, and it constantly yearns to return to that baseline of peace, much like water naturally seeks its own level. Hear this clearly. You are not fundamentally broken. You are not lagging behind on some imaginary cosmic timeline, nor are you missing any crucial components required to broadcast your authentic truth. You are simply a magnificent source of light that has been temporarily clouded by shadows. And now that you possess this conscious awareness, the clearing process has already been set into motion. As we draw this transmission to a close, I want to offer you a profound paradigm to carry forward. I am not assigning you another rigid spiritual chore to blindly execute, but rather a fluid state of being to inhabit daily. Woven throughout the seemingly mundane moments of your ordinary routine are endless opportunities to consciously choose your native signal over your rehearsed performance. There will be countless moments where you can elect to embody raw, honest presence instead of projecting a carefully curated, defensive facade. You will face daily invitations to truly feel the actual climate of your internal field and to bravely let that reality be witnessed by the world, rather than suffocating it under the heavy weight of what you assume society demands. These daily decisions are incredibly subtle. They are quiet, private victories. From an external perspective, they might not look like a dramatic, cinematic life transformation. Yet, down at the microscopic, electromagnetic level of your aura, they are absolutely earth-shattering. Every single time you choose unvarnished truth over a managed persona, you are casting a powerful vote for coherence. Every time you allow a genuine emotion to breathe, rather than burying it under suppression and static, you actively clear away dense interference. Each instance where you permit your unmasked signal to project outward is a profound moment of direct communion between your soul and the universal quantum web. And these seemingly microscopic moments compound. They stack upon one another, exponentially building your energetic coherence. They meticulously construct the optimal conditions for the universe to read your true frequency with crystal clarity. They blow wide open the energetic channels through which effortless synchronicity pours into your life. They forge the foundation for deeply nourishing human connections, ensuring that your physical reality is built around who you genuinely are, rather than the exhausting imposter you have been playing. This is the true spiritual work. It is not overly dramatic. It does not require a hero's cape, nor does it demand any mystical abilities you do not already possess. It is simply the continuous, tender, and intensely courageous habit of being unapologetically real. Your energetic signature has never forgotten your true identity. The quantum matrix has always known exactly who you are. And now, if you have remained open and present throughout this transmission, if you have sensed even the faintest whisper of your soul's native frequency, you are finally beginning to remember it too. I want you to realize that this real you is not a distant, utopian destination. It is not an enlightened future version of yourself that you must exhaust yourself trying to reach. It is the exact frequency that is vibrating from your core right at this very second, buried just beneath the heavy debris you've accumulated over the decades. It is the undeniable, comforting warmth that blossomed in your chest during our heart-focused breathing exercise. It is that profound quality of spaciousness and light you tapped into when you practiced raw field awareness. It is the soul-deep recognition that washed over you when you allowed the cosmos to reflect back your inherent worth. It is right here, and it has always been here. The intelligence of the universe has spent your entire life trying to deliver this exact message to you. But now, you finally possess the vocabulary to understand it. You grasp the literal mechanics behind it. You hold the practical tools to consciously mold your field, stepping out of the shadows of blind, unconscious broadcasting. Above all else, you now carry the visceral, felt experience of your own majestic signal. No matter how brief or delicate that sensation was, you felt it pulse through your veins, and a truth that has been physically felt can never be unfelt. An awakening that has been recognized can never be stuffed back into the box of ignorance. You intimately know the texture of your authentic frequency now, and you hold the power to choose it. You don't just choose it once in a fiery moment of grand awakening. You choose it continuously, in the quiet, microscopic, compounding decisions of your everyday existence. Whenever you favor vulnerability over a bulletproof mask, whenever you refuse to compress the native warmth of your heart and instead let it spill over, you are powerfully broadcasting your true essence. The moment you do, the quantum universe eagerly reads that transmission and immediately begins reorganizing the physical world to match it. It is an unshakable law. Reality builds itself around whatever you radiate, and what you naturally radiate at your most foundational, authentic, unshielded level is breathtakingly extraordinary. Your internal light is switched on. It has been blazing since the moment you were born, and today, you finally realize it. Before we officially conclude our time together, I have a specific request for you. Down in the comments section below, I invite you to share just one single word. Choose one word that perfectly encapsulates the physical or emotional sensation you experienced when you finally touched your authentic signal during our practices today. Do not overthink it. Just share the raw feeling. By typing that single word, you are allowing a fragment of your true frequency to take physical form through language. And remember, language itself is a powerful form of electromagnetic broadcasting. Let your chosen word weave into the massive, collective energy grid we are actively constructing here. We are cultivating a global community of individuals dedicated to conscious radiation people who are collectively choosing to drop their masks and refuse to dim their eternal light. Your specific word holds immense weight. Your personal field is vital. Your presence in this shared space is incredibly powerful. Understand that this is not merely a random assortment of strangers consuming video content on the internet. We are actively generating a highly coherent, collective field of conscious transmitters. As each of us harmonizes our individual signal, the combined compounding effect creates a colossal broadcast that the quantum universe registers with absolute clarity. We are physically amplifying one another. Together, we are literally manipulating the fabric of reality through the undeniable laws of quantum physics. This is happening right now, in real time. As you absorb these concepts and feel your body respond, if the resonance of this message is still heavily vibrating within your bones, I strongly urge you to revisit this transmission during a moment of profound quiet. Listen to it in the sacred stillness of the early morning before the world demands your attention, or in the gentle space just before you drift off to sleep when your nervous system is most receptive, and these practices can sink deeply into your subconscious. Furthermore, if a specific person flashes into your mind right now, someone whose brilliant light needs a gentle reminder, someone whose true signal you have always admired, even when they couldn't see it themselves, please share this video with them. The simple act of sharing is, in itself, a profound gesture of field coherence. It will ignite their awareness of their own frequency, forge a powerful energetic resonance between the two of you, and weave yet another brilliant node of authentic light into the collective grid we are building. Welcome home to your own magnificent light. Welcome to the unvarnished, authentic you. Your auric field is now fully activated. Your transmission is fiercely conscious. Your broadcast is crystalline. The quantum universe sees you clearly. It has always seen you, and the entity it perceives is unimaginably luminous. So, shine. Do not shine because it is a spiritual obligation. Do not shine because you feel you have finally earned it through years of exhausting self-improvement. Shine simply because that is the irrefutable truth of what you are. You are a breathtaking, radiant sphere of quantum energy, constantly projecting your pristine frequency into the vast matrix of reality, effortlessly magnetizing the exact experiences, souls, and miracles that flawlessly mirror your native light. You have been glowing brilliantly this entire time. But now, You finally possess the eyes to witness it. Now, you hold the sovereignty to actively choose it. Now, you get to fully live from that place of power. This is your absolute truth, and the universe has been patiently waiting for you to finally accept it. If the energetic currents of this transmission unlocked something deeply real within your soul, then your journey is far from over. The next video, which dives profoundly into the secret ways your energetic field has been silently reorganizing your reality without your conscious permission, is waiting for you right now on the screen. Understand that you finding this message was no random accident. Click the video to explore how the invisible shifts already occurring within your aura are infinitely more monumental than they appear on the surface.